Cynicism is not intelligence, it just looks like it from far away. Gen Z has turned hating everything into a personality, and I think the real reason is simple. If you already called it fake, you can never lose at it. And I get it, because the skepticism is earned. You watched the 2008 crash happen when you were basically a toddler. You watched people graduate into a job market where entry level meant 3 years of experience. You watched rent eat 30, 40, sometimes 50% of a paycheck in cities that used to be affordable a decade ago. So when someone tells you to just work hard and it'll pay off, the eye roll is rational. I'm not saying the system is fine. I'm saying the reaction to it turned into something else entirely. Something that stopped being about the system and started being about you. Here's the mechanism. It's actually pretty simple math on how your brain protects itself. If you try something, start the business, post the video, apply for the job, and it fails, that failure costs you. Maybe it's 6 months of work, maybe it's $2,000 you can't get back, maybe it's just the version of you that believed in it. But if you declare beforehand that the whole thing is rigged, that hustle culture is a scam, that nobody actually makes it, you've prepaid for the failure before it even happens. You didn't lose because you never played. That's the trade cynicism offers you. Zero risk in exchange for zero chance. It feels like protection because in the short term it is protection. The problem is it's a subscription, not a one-time fee. You don't pay it once. You pay it every single time an opportunity shows up for years, and the interest on that is your own growth. 10 years of that's rigged anyway isn't 10 years of being right. It's 10 years of not finding out. And there's a second layer to this that people don't talk about. Tearing something down is faster than building anything. Writing a comment calling someone's business a scam takes maybe 15 seconds. Actually building a version of that business takes months, and it comes with a real chance you look stupid in public. So if your only two options in a day are spend 15 seconds feeling sharp or spend 3 hours feeling uncertain, the math isn't close. Multiply that out. 15 seconds of hating 10 times a day for a year is under 16 hours total. Meanwhile, even a bad attempt at building something takes hundreds of hours minimum. Hating is priced so cheap that it becomes the default purchase, and the comment section becomes the place where that cheap feeling gets paid out in full, with interest, in the form of likes and replies agreeing with you. Think about it side by side. Two different people, same week. Person A sees a small business post, someone selling candles online, making maybe $600 a month after 8 months of work. Person A says, must be nice, must have had help, closes the app, feels a small hit of superiority, moves on. That comment took 4 seconds to type and cost nothing. Person B sees the same post and thinks, that's not much money for the effort, which might even be true. But then they ask what the margin actually was, what platform they used, whether $600 a month at month 8 is a reasonable trajectory or a slow one. That question takes longer and doesn't give the instant hit. A year later, person A has posted maybe 400 more comments like that. They made $0 and learned nothing new. Person B might have made $0 too, but they know why now. And they know what candle margins actually look like going in. Now take a second version of this, because it's not just business content, it's everything. Two people watch the same video of someone posting their gym transformation after 4 months. Person A comments, steroids obviously, gets 40 likes agreeing, feels validated, closes the app. Person B thinks the transformation looks fast too, but they go look up what a beginner actually gains in 4 months on a calorie surplus. They find out newbie gains alone can put on 8 to 10 pounds of muscle in that window for some people, and the math checks out more than they assumed. Person A walks away with 40 likes and the same body they had in January. Person B walks away with information they can actually use. Both of them started from the same suspicious place. Only one of them let the suspicion end the search instead of starting it. What this does to someone living inside it is slower than it sounds. It's not one bad day, it's 1,000 small ones where the smart move always looked like staying seated. You start mistaking the absence of failure for the presence of success. Those are not the same thing, not even close. Here's the part nobody says out loud. Cynical people don't actually find each other by accident. They find each other because the algorithm rewards the exact same energy it just punished you with. You post one comment calling something fake, you get 40 likes in an hour, and now the app has learned what keeps you scrolling. It shows you 9 more posts of things to call fake, because agreement is the cheapest engagement there is. It costs the platform nothing, and it costs you nothing in the moment. So you end up in a room with 1,000 people who all sound smart together, saying the same 6 sentences back and forth. That's not a community, that's an echo chamber with group pricing. And the scary part is it feels like belonging, because being agreed with feels identical to being right, even when it isn't. You can spend 2 hours a night in that room, which is 730 hours a year, and walk out with more confirmation and 0 new information. Compare that to 730 hours spent actually learning a skill. That's roughly 18 full work weeks. One of those paths compounds, the other one just repeats. And the mechanism gets worse the longer you run it. Cynicism doesn't just protect you from failure, it starts editing what you're even willing to notice. Say a coworker gets promoted after 2 years at a company where you've been for 3. The cynical read is instant. They sucked up to the manager, it's political, it's rigged. That read costs nothing to produce and it feels true immediately, but it also closes the file. You don't go find out that they started arriving 20 minutes early to shadow a system nobody asked them to learn, or that they took on a project that added maybe 5 hours a week to their plate for 8 months with no extra pay. The rigged story already answered the question for you. 6 months later, you're still at the same level, still holding the same explanation. And it still feels true because you never tested it. That's the real cost. Not that you were wrong, but that you stopped being curious the moment you had a story that let you stop. Let's walk through a version of this with actual numbers, because it plays out the same way with money as it does with people. Say 2 people each have $2,000 saved at 22. Person A hears about index funds, decides the stock market is rigged for people who already have money, and keeps the $2,000 in a checking account earning close to nothing. Person B has the same suspicion. They think it probably is tilted toward people with more capital. But they put the $2,000 in an index fund anyway, and keep adding $100 a month. Historically, the market has returned somewhere around 7% a year after inflation over long stretches, though any single year can be down double digits. So this isn't a guarantee, it's a probability. Run that out 30 years and person B's account has a real shot at ending up in the mid-6 figures. Person A's $2,000 is still basically $2,000, maybe less after inflation eats it. Person A wasn't wrong that the game favors people with more money. They were wrong to treat that as a reason not to play a smaller, still real version of it. What this does to someone living inside it for years is quieter than a crash. It's more like a slow flattening. You stop being disappointed because you stop expecting anything, and that feels like peace for a while. But it's not peace, it's just numbness wearing pieces clothes. You watch people your age hit things you technically wanted to. A business, a book, a promotion, a relationship that actually worked. And instead of thinking, how did they do that? The trained reflexes must be nice, or there's something I'm not seeing. Both of those thoughts end the conversation before it starts. 10 years in, you haven't failed at anything, and you also haven't built anything. Those 2 facts sit right next to each other, and somehow you convince yourself the first one cancels out the second. I did this for about a year and a half, and I can tell you exactly what it cost me because I tracked it after the fact. I had an idea for a small side thing in 2021. I talked myself out of it in about 10 minutes by deciding the market was already saturated, and I felt sharp for making that call. Someone else had the same idea, actually built it, and by last year it was doing low six figures a year. I didn't lose money on that, which is the trap. It feels like you got away with something. But I lost the 3 years I could have spent learning what saturated markets actually look like from the inside, instead of guessing from the outside for free. What I actually think should change is small, not some full personality overhaul. Keep the skepticism, it's earned and it's useful. But attach one rule to it. Every time you think something is fake or rigged or a scam, spend 10 minutes actually checking before you're allowed to post the take. Look up the margins, look up the timeline, look up whether the math someone's claiming is even physically possible. Most of the time, you'll still be right, and now you're right with evidence instead of right by accident. And some of the time you'll find out you were wrong, which stings for about 10 minutes and makes you smarter for the next 10 years. The goal was never to become someone who believes everything. That's just cynicism's dumber sibling. The goal is to become someone whose doubt costs 10 minutes instead of costing you the decade.